Hello, welcome to another edition of the Detour Live. And as we all say, it's a special edition. And this one's going to be an absolute belter. I'm your host, Dan Jones. And as always, I'm joined by four-time national road champion, Johnny Trevorrow, and Tour de France debutant who started, crashed out on stage 10, but he's still in good spirits, Sam Bewley. How you going, fellas?
Hey, guys.
We're going well, Daniel.
Now, Iffy, you're pretty good at the ring announcer intros. I think we sort of rip it straight into it. Do you want to introduce our two guests? We may have three, but at this stage we've got two sitting in the lobby, chewing at the bit, ready to go.
Well, this is the story of one of the great Tours de France, and one I had a ball at with God rest his soul, my good mate Alan Lang. So we've got Baden Cooke. Baden, as they say in France, Baden Cooke. Anyway,
there he is.
Over there, and here he is.
Hi, guys.
Good Cookie. How are you?
How are you all?
And of course, very famous for that amazing battle for the green jersey, which we'll go into shortly, and also one of our really great road sprinters, and also very, very accomplished track rider back in his day. And Matty Wilson, who I remember first riding a Sun Tour at 18 years of age, and had a stage all locked up, but I think he fell off at the last roundabout or something like that. I can't remember what happened there, Matty, but just a kid. Australian Road champion, Sun Tour winner, multi-Grand Tour rider, and one of the great domestiques at FDJ back in those early days. And we would have had the other Musketeer or Musketeer in Brad McGee, but Brad's just had an operation on a very sensitive part of the body, so we won't go into that. But he's not feeling too well, and I think the medication's grabbed a hold of him. He was coming on the last minute. He's pulled the coat, but anyway, so we'll miss that. We'll talk about him, and he can listen into it later.
And we sent the feelers out to David Millar as well, so he may or may not join us. But we've got a lot of great clips lined up of Millar's throughout the episode tonight.
Yes, so, a couple of great stories with David Millar in that tour. One being the prologue, which we'll go into shortly, but also another stage which Cookie will tell us all about later on, which is a very, very funny story.
So we should set the scene, Iffy. It's the 2003 Tour de France. It's the 100th anniversary of the tour, so it was a pretty big edition, and they, custom made all different race routes. I want to start with you, Cookie. How are you feeling going into that year's tour?
Well, I was pretty banged up. I had a big crash at the Dauphiné a few weeks out, where I've told that story a few times, where I came down pretty hard with two blokes sitting on my back on the Cheese Grater Road, and I was pretty banged up coming in, and all my glands were up, and I had a great 2002 tour, my first tour. We got fourth in the green jersey, and this particular year in 2003. I didn't feel like I was going as good. I'd done all the work, but due to the big crash I had leading in, I wasn't super confident.
And what about you, Matty? That was your first Tour de France, yeah?
Yeah, it was my first Tour de France. Look, I was just battling for selection the whole build-up, so it was really my season was about getting that across the line, and got the call up to do it.
Now, the race route for that opening time trial, I think it was just under 8Ks, but it was all around Paris. And, obviously you got Brad McGee on the team, and David Millar was the red-hot favourite. So we want to kick things off and show you a bit of a snippet of what happened in that opening time trial.
As we switch to the finish now, McGee is going to topple Jan Ullrich as well, as Bradley McGee takes the lead, 7:26.16. Now he's going to have to wait and see what David Millar can do.
Well, Bradley, don't salute the crowd so soon, because there are still some very big names to come, and Millar is 5 seconds faster than Brad McGee at 3.2 kilometres. Problem for David Millar on the course, though. What is this problem here? His chain has come off, Phil. He had the fastest time, and that has blown it, I would say, for David Millar.
He is going to be so close to the line as we hit 7:26. He's going to do it. 7:26.24. He hasn't. That has cost him the victory, whatever was wrong.
Did not get much close. Don't get much closer than that.
I'm surprised you couldn't hear us cheering in the hotel room as David Millar put his cane off.
What was the emotions like in the team that night, Cookie?
Well, like Matty said, because we were staying a bit outside of Paris with the team, and the prologue was right in the centre, they had rented a hotel room just for us to go back and chill out after the stage before we went to the hotel that we were staying at. And it was just Matty and I in this about 4 square metre hotel room, jumping up and down on the bed, watching it on this little TV, jumping up and down, hugging each other, going, woo! I couldn't believe it.
Well, it wasn't just. I mean, the amazing thing is we all know how big it is to get the maillot jaune, the yellow jersey, and that's what it was all about. It wasn't just winning a stage, which is fantastic and important and whatever, but it was winning the first maillot jaune of the Tour de France for that year.
Now, obviously, David Millar was filthy, and this is. I don't think you'd see a post interview like this one because he didn't really hold back.
As I was accelerating, the chain just derailed, just came off and fell off. And because I didn't have a front derailleur on, I couldn't put it back on. So I had to go down with my hand and try and get it on. And it was jammed in there. So I came almost to a standstill trying to get the chain out and back on. I have faith in my mechanics, you know. If they say it's fine, I'm like, okay, it's fine. And I tested, I'd been out the day before, I gave full sprints and everything. But it was also a problem with one of the chain rings we're using. We're using a different chain ring on the front, not Campagnolo. Another make, and 5 other guys in our team today had the same problem. So 5 out of the 9 guys had exactly the same problem. 3 of them had banged their knees in their handlebars where their chain came off, and it's just a hoax. So somebody's going to be getting in trouble, that's for sure.
Well, while David's dusting himself down, what should have been his yellow jersey is being modelled by one of his best mates in the peloton, Brad McGee.
Sponsors would have been stoked about that.
Oh, yeah.
Just telling the world that you're not using their product.
At least he didn't blame them for it. But I think he didn't run a front derailleur to save weight. I don't know how much a front derailleur weighs, but I think the lesson out of that one is to go with the extra 50 grams and put your front derailleur on, then it won't fall off.
Especially the flat prologue.
Yeah.
Now, to kick things off for the opening road stage, ITV, they do these great history packages. So I thought, why not show a little bit of this clip just to really get people fired up for the history of the Tour, and this is the 100th edition. So this is what they ran for that opening road stage.
So this morning, Brad McGee was occupying the top photo op spot at the front of the grid when the riders gathered at the Café Réveil Matin, from where the very first Tour set off 100 years and 5 days ago, which is the perfect cue for our history package. In the days when men were men, moustaches were handlebars, and page 3 and price wars had yet to be invented, the French sports daily L'Auto hit on the idea of boosting circulation by staging a bike race. 2,400 kilometres in 6 easy stages, an average of 400k a day. But huge distances weren't the riders' only problem. If you're going to hold a road race, it's handy to have some actual roads at your disposal. But in 1903, not only were they not closed, some of them weren't even made. There were no support teams, no feed stations. Unfortunately for some of the riders, no compulsory urine samples to give either. The big drawback for the Tour as a spectacle, though, was that no one could tell who was winning. So in 1919, the race leader was given a distinctive yellow jersey. And for those of you watching in black and white, the yellow jersey is just behind the pink, which is to say, as innovations go, it wasn't much use unless you were actually lining the route. But for years, that was the only way to see the Tour. When the race returned after World War II, though, everyone got a look.
21 étapes, 100 coureurs, 5000 km, 5 millions de primes, telles sont les grandes lignes du 34e Tour de France.
Newsreels turned the Tour into a summer mini-series, available in 3 weekly instalments down the local Gaumont. That, and the happy coincidence of July being the national holiday month, meant even bigger crowds at the roadside, and massive recognition for great post-war riders like Jean Robic, Fausto Coppi and Louison Bobet. As its popularity spread, so did the race into Italy, Spain and the rest of Europe. There were experiments with national teams which didn't last, and the arrival of the publicity caravan which did. More money in the race meant better support for the riders, although well into the 50s, they were still carrying their own spares. The 60s brought the first of the Tour's 5-time winners, the great French rider Jacques Anquetil. The 70s saw Eddy Merckx repeat Anquetil's achievement. By the time the final stage had moved from the Parc des Princes velodrome to the Champs-Élysées, the classic look of the Tour as we know it was complete.
Some great images there, Iffy, of the history of the Tour, and obviously with the 100th edition, it was a big build-up. Now, the opening stage, Cookie, it was your first chance to get amongst it. Who were the guys that you guys were earmarking, and was your goal obviously to go after the green jersey that year?
Well, obviously Pataki was flying at the time, so Pataki was always the red-hot favourite for the flat sprints. But we knew Robbie had won the green jersey the year before, and Zabel was just coming off winning 6 in a row. So those guys were just going for the green jersey flat out. So Robbie was the main guy. We knew he was going to go for it. There was question marks about Pataki in the mountains and how actual fit he was for when it wasn't dead flat. But there was Ushoff, Tor Ushoff, there was Frere, there was Stewie, of course. There was a bunch of riders were in the mix.
Yeah, so the first stage was from on the outskirts of Paris, Saint-Denis, I read here, to Meaux. I don't even know where Meaux is, but anyway, 168K.
Gippsland.
That's where all my kids were born, in Meaux, but this is spelt slightly different.
It's the bar on The Simpsons, isn't it?
Exactly. But I see that Pataki won that first stage, but how did you blokes? Because I mean, of course, it was a great day.
We got vision of that, Iffy. Like I've done a lot of prep work.
There's a gigantic stack in the finish.
All right. Well, I'll show you the finale.
It's Bradley's first day road stage in the yellow jersey, so it would have been pretty exciting for you guys.
Yes, it was until about 400 to go where he ate it on with a bunch of other guys, and it was. I remember hearing that crash was right behind me, and it was just you could hear just metal scraping, and people flying everywhere, and there was a few battered bodies after that stage.
Well, let's have a look at that stage 1 carnage in the finish there.
Alessandro Pataki is coming back. Here comes McEwen and Zabel. I think it's going to be Pataki on the line. Probably Bettini, Zabel, McEwen. They were right there as well. But again, Paul, a crash. And look at this. The peloton are at a standstill. Now, just to quickly tell you the rules, everybody will be given the time of the winner because they are inside the final kilometre.
It was the big Kelme rider. His foot came out. He went immediately down onto the ground, and then it was pandemonium behind. You can just see over on the left-hand side there, Ulrich was caught out behind the crash as well.
There he is, and he was obviously involved there, Brad McGee, but he won't lose his yellow jersey. He's inside the last kilometre. This rule was brought in many years ago because of situations like this in the last kilometre, so they don't lose time. The clock stops at the kilometre to go for all of the riders who are together.
Where were you, Wilson, when all that happened?
No, I must have been just behind the crash. I don't actually remember. But what was someone from Kelme doing up there in the sprint anyway?
The funniest was I hadn't seen any of the old interviews with David Millar back then, and just how confident he was with the ITV guys. Like, this is Millar the next day chatting to the ITV team.
Well, I didn't see anything. I was just chilling at the back. I knew it was going to crash, just knew it. So I was just sitting just behind all the favourites, just keeping it safe. I think every single favourite went down. It was pretty impressive. Just I was just behind, just watching them go down one by one.
He's the dude. So if he stage 1, going into stage 2, This is obviously a big one because, we don't want to give away the finale, but how are you feeling, Cookie, going into that second stage?
Yeah, well, I think Macca had a slender lead. Well, put it this way, I think Eric Zabel was within striking distance. If Eric Zabel won the stage, then Brad lost the yellow jersey. So I remember in the team meeting, we were discussing different strategies for keeping yellow jersey, and Brad just said, well, Cookie has to win the stage. If Cookie wins the stage, then Zabel can't take the yellow jersey off me. So we're like, oh, all right, we'll just go with that then.
Well, we've got the vision of the stage 2 sprint.
But I tell you, before you shoot to it, I just set a little scene here because it was actually a bit of a gnarly finish, and they had a small hill in the last few kilometres, and that was really crucial. Some of the sprinters couldn't get over it. Cookie got over it, but he was back a fraction far. So then the tactics that happened after that is intriguing.
All right, well, here's the finale of stage 2.
That's Damien. Here goes McGee. McGee is broken early, but he is a pursuiter. He has terrific speed in those legs. Nazon is chasing him.
The lime green jersey, there's Freddie Rodriguez. He's well up there for the Vinny Calderolo team, up into third place. You can see all over the front of this main field is Eric Zabel. McGee has led them out, but he's not going to win the stage right now. There's a moment of hesitation. Bettini's in the middle. Oscar Freire is starting down the right-hand side. This is going to be a bolt for the finishing line. In fact, there's some confusion moving up there right now. You can see Eric Zabel in the middle.
Zabel is in the middle, but Jan Kersipou is also breaking in the centre now. So too is Jean-Patrick Nazan. They're all getting in on the act here. A final dash for the line now is Jean-Patrick Nazan, who's launched himself. And I think that's Kersipou challenging on the right. And on the left now comes the sprinters too from... and he's got it. And I'm trying...
Baden Cooke.
Baden Cooke. I completely forgot about Baden Cooke. And he continues the happy saga of the FrancaisDesJeux.com team. Because with Baden Cooke getting the win, then his teammate McGee will keep, we think, the yellow jersey. It has to go to the seconds on the calculation, but what an unbelievable finish.
Baden Cooke, what a win.
he forgot about you, Cookie. He forgot about you. Wow.
I think he was a bit surprised that I won. But yeah, there was a climb about 6Ks to go, and Bettini lit it up. And the main sprinter that missed out was Pataki. He was going uphill like a stone that year, and he was going very, very fast in the finishes, but he couldn't get over a speed hump. So we were happy to see him off the back. We kept the pressure on, and about a K and a half to go, I was on Brad's wheel, and then got squeezed and lost it. And so I was back at about 800 metres to go. I'm about 25th place, and Brad lit it up like I was on his wheel, and then sort of realised I wasn't, and so he just balked, basically stopped pedalling, and everyone who was on his wheel thinking it would be strung out just sort of stopped, or when I say stopped, they went from doing 60 to 58. And I just took that moment to step out. I didn't have a lead out at all. I just stepped out and came up the left-hand side and repositioned myself on Kersipou, who proceeded to put me into the left-hand barrier, and I nearly dropped it, but it just gave me I sort of stopped pedaling for a second and just got a tiny little breath and stepped on it, and there was enough to get past them. And I was... And that day was, I'll never forget it. My parents had flown over from Australia and were standing right there on the finish line just by chance, and couldn't believe their eyes when they saw their son put his arms up.
Well, we've got the post-race interviews with a very fresh-faced Baden Cooke.
Oh, so many times I always misjudge the sprints and I go too early and I get past in the line, and today it was me coming from behind. I just stayed so calm and left it to the last minute, and it paid off. It's like the jackpot.
An enormous amount of teamwork there for you to get that stage win and for Bradley to keep the yellow shirt.
Yeah, well, normally I should have been on Brad's wheel, but coming into the corner I got swamped and lost the wheel. And so he just pulled the sprint to keep it lined out anyway. And the last minute I went to move up and someone moved, so I got on the wheel and I just worked out like clockwork. Just came through right at the right time and hit out, and it was unbelievable.
25k to go, we've all looked at each other and gone, that's it, it's finished. But then we realised that there was some long drags, some really nasty pinches in that last 20k, and a guy who's been out there all day, he's going to have heavy legs. He obviously lost a lot of time there.
So listen to this, stage win Australia, yellow jersey Australia, green jersey Australia, everyone else might as well go home.
I think things might change once we hit the mountains, mate.
For the moment, though, Brad McGee has nothing steeper than the top step of the podium to worry about, and tomorrow he'll start in yellow for the third straight day.
Matty, I want to ask you, how hard is it when you're all got to commit to like going for a jersey, like as your role as a domestique? Can you hear us, Matty?
How hard is it to commit to going for the jersey? Yep.
Yeah, no, like how much extra stress does it add to your role?
To be honest, it makes it easier. Having a single-minded focus and one thing to do gives you a lot of purpose. You've got a job to do, and you get out and do it. It's a lot harder when it's you don't have a clear objective. So jerseys are a very clear one.
And Cookie, at that time, as the journo said, Aussies were just dominating the early stages of the tour.
Yeah, I think after that stage, I was in white, Robbie green, and Brad yellow, and then our other French teammate from La France de Jeu had the polka dot jersey. So between France de Jeu and Australia, we had every jersey, which was quite unusual, and we were certainly lapping it up.
I was going to ask, with those sprints, obviously there's crashes, and there was a crash in the third stage. But how do you go being part of that washing machine? Like, to be at your best and consistently winning, do you have to have this sort of fearless mentality, Cookie, to get the job done?
Yeah, every single day you're taking ridiculous risks to stay in front. You have to be aggressive. It's basically, there's not enough room for everyone. So if you're not pushing, you're being pushed. And if you're not squeezing someone, you're getting squeezed. So I had not lost my nerve since the Dauphiné crash a few weeks before. If anything, I'd scared a few people there by showing that I wasn't about to back off if I got pushed. To the point where I was prepared to go down to save my spot, but I only really had to do it once to eat the bitumen to prove my point. And at that point, people sort of stopped messing with me so much.
Now, we've seen Robbie McEwen in the coverage this year, and he does, the sprint analysis with his circles and crosses and that. Paul Sherwin started this in 2003. This was his expert analysis of the crash that happened on stage 3.
A lot of riders in this tour are taking some serious risks in the sprint, and one of them, I think, is René Hasselbacher. Let's just take a look at this one more time in slow motion. This is Hasselbacher here, already barging onto the back shoulder there of Eric Zabel. He sees Pataki starting the sprint here, moves across, but the two Aussies are locked shoulder to shoulder there, Cooke and McEwen. I don't know how they stayed upright. Hasselbacher goes down on the ground. I think it was his own fault. He was weaving around in the middle of that bunch. The result should stand as it is.
Some great analysis there. How much did it give you the shits when these guys that weren't going to really contend for the stage were in the washing machine, almost causing mass pile-ups?
Well, it is what it is. I mean, Hasselbacher was a decent rider, and it would be pretty. I would not say that he had no right to be there, because there was a time when I was considered not to have the right to be there, and I just, you can't just be told you're not good enough, don't be there, or else you're never going to win. Those sprints are ruthless, and they're dangerous, and there's stuff goes down, and like Caleb Ewan said the other day regarding Sagan, he said, sometimes you're not thinking about safety when you're trying to win the race. I'd go as far as saying that safety wasn't really an issue at all. I was just trying to win the race. That particular day, I skidded along the gutter for a long time and clicked my foot out, and I couldn't believe I didn't go down. It doesn't look that bad in the overhead, but I had my wheel hard against the gutter, grinding on it for a good few metres and clicked my foot out to balance myself. And I think I actually still scored points that thing. I think I got 13 to 14 with one foot.
Now, we've got some comments coming in. Stuart McIntosh says, fun fact, Baden Cooke and Victorian Premier Dan Andrews went to the same school in Wangaratta. Was Dan in the same class as you, Baden, and a mate of yours?
No, that's probably the only thing we have in common, actually. I actually came from Benalla, and we went to Wangaratta. No, I don't. He wouldn't have lasted long in my classroom, I don't think.
Now, no. I've just got. There's one little story I've got to tell, and we're going to zip back into Paris at the prologue. So I remember I'm with our motley crew with Al and my mate Tim the vet, and we're going through this little area where it's corralled past. Where the TV crews were in there, and there was sort of barricading, and there's a lot of people trying to get through this small area. Anyway, Tim the vet notices a guy about 3 up in front. I mean, we were really squeezed in, and he notices this guy, the wallet, jump out of his back pocket and hit the ground. So he yells out, "Hey, mate!" So only an Aussie would turn around, and the guy turns around. He said, "Your wallet." He goes, "Oh." Picks it up, and it turns out it was Ian. It was Cookie's old man. Yes. So we met Ian and Brenda. We went and had a couple of beers together, whatever, and we ended up catching up a couple of nights later and had a huge party. After that, your mother wouldn't travel with us anymore. She had too big a hangover.
Fair enough.
Usually pulls up pretty well.
Hey, Cookie, can I ask you a quick question about the we were just talking about the dangers of the sprints back then, and they still exist now. Did you, back in those days, did you have the GC teams boxing on with the sprint teams like we do now? I mean, obviously you had the 3K rule was in place then as it is now, but like it's quite prevalent now where you get all the GC teams lining up as if they're a sprint team coming into that safety zone of 3K. Was it the same back then, or was it more just the GC guys would sit back a little bit further and you just box on with the other sprinters?
I remember people would complain about it back then. Generally speaking, US Postal would always pull for as long as hard as they could deep into the finish, and Armstrong would always stay quite far forward. As far as pure GC teams doing lead outs, I don't think it was as much, but there were a few teams that would do it. But like I said, I mean, everyone's got their own agenda and they don't really care, or they don't give two hoots about whether they're going to upset some sprinters. So I from what I've seen on TV, it kind of looks like it's happening more now.
But it was 1K back then.
It was 1K.
So back in 2003, it was 1K to go was the cutoff point. So if you crashed at 1.1, you lost time.
So you're obviously
you're up.
Sorry. Yeah, I was just saying that it's definitely nowadays you're getting a hell of a lot more GC teams up there. I mean, you used to see a real shape of the peloton. Back in the old days, it was like an arrowhead, and you'd have your sprinters teams at the front and everyone would come down. And now you've got the same speed, but you just got a wall of riders riding, shoulder to shoulder at 60k an hour with all their GC guys lining up behind. So it's definitely a different dynamic now.
So stage 5 was another opportunity to get some points back on McEwen, Cookie, and you did that, but we've still got dramas. Phil Liggett can't recognise you in the bunch.
Pataki is making the move, win number 4, but on the right it is Bradley McGee. Win number 4 though it is. Baden Cooke, is second, but he can't believe it. It wasn't his victory 1 kilometre out.
He thought you were Bradley McGee, but Robbie had a crash that stage and was pretty filthy after the finish. So here's a replay of that.
Well, actually, not all of the big names. Eric Zabel and Robbie McEwen weren't even there to be beaten in the sprint, and here's why. If you watch the rider in white here on the helicopter shot, it's Eric Zabel who just seems to lose it on the corner, bringing down Robbie McEwen as well as one of his own teammates. Well, McEwen came in a minute 17 down in what remained of his green jersey, knowing that it's the last one he's going to wear for a while. Knowing you've lost, it's one thing, though. Sharing it with the world just after it's happened is another.
Do you have a clear idea what happened there, Robbie?
Not a happy camper.
Yeah,
That
so
must have given you some confidence with gaining so many points.
Well, I should have won that stage, to be quite honest. Pataki was, again, there was a climb about 4 or 6 Ks to go, very similar to the stage I won. And Pataki was dropped. He was dropped and stopped pedalling, in fact, and his team got around him and pushed him over the climb. And I said it then, and I'll say it now, he shouldn't have been there to win the sprint, because he was going so much quicker than us on the flat, but going uphill so badly that he shouldn't have actually been there. Apparently, he took 3 teammates to push him over and back onto the wheel, and that could have been win number 2. Straight up in the week, it would have been a good way to start.
Well, stage 7 saw you guys hit the climbs, and Pataki, as you said, wasn't climbing that well, so he abandoned the tour. But one guy that was climbing good was our man David Millar, and this is his answer post stage 7.
Well done, David. You stuck with the pace. How did you feel?
Oh, terrible. I blew up at the top of the climb, seeing stars. I thought I had some food in my pockets, otherwise I'd have been dead, but...
Lucky for that food. Lucky they put pockets on those shirts.
So, Wilson, was your role, once you hit the mountains, just obviously to get around Cookie and to help out? It's all about the time cut. So obviously people, that might not understand how it all works. What happens with you guys out on the road? Are you just calculating times and setting a reasonable pace? How's it all work?
Yeah, basically it's just trying to get through those stages as easy as possible to recover and go again the next day. And I think the other thing to remember back then, green jersey was every single day. So nowadays you've got one green jersey sprint, which is somewhere in the stage that you've got to work towards. But we had lots of sprints out in the road that we had to be thinking about.
So then we get to stage 10, and it's all about there's another sprint opportunity. Someone went up the road and they won the stage, but there's these massive battles going on behind, and you're able to reel in the assistance of a Scottish hero, and you can probably guess who it is. There's a theme here, is David Millar. So let's have a look at the sprint for the points on stage 10.
And you can see now the boys in white are trying to lead out Baden Cooke. Also trying to get involved is Freddie Rodriguez as well, his team. The green jersey, though, of Baden Cooke is having to launch this one now. David Millar looks as though he's going to give a perfect lead out here to Bradley McGee as they head up towards the line now. It is David Millar of Britain doing the lead out, followed by Bradley McGee and followed by the green jersey of Baden Cooke. Now Robbie McEwen is going to have to profit from this. There is McEwen still dodging amongst the wheels, wanting to keep riders away from him. Eric Zabel is also there, and McGee looked to see who punched him. Then it was Eric Zabel who pushed him out the way. Zabel is still on the wheel of Freddie Rodriguez. This is going to be, in fact, I think that is Roman Weinstein who's got back there. But as they lead towards the line, 300 metres to go now. This is the final lead out for Baden Cooke, and Zabel has got Baden Cooke's wheel. And then comes McEwen is on the left. Cooke is making determined finish, but look at Robbie McEwen as he puts it to the line. McEwen and Cooke, and I don't know how they are going to split them.
Well, when they were split, the decision went to Baden Cooke, who picked up the 16 points on offer for 10th place. Robbie McEwen got 15 for 11th, and he now trails Cooke by 9 points in the race for the green jersey. All the big names, Armstrong included, finished in the bunch, along with the Tour's new freelance lead-out man, David Millar. Afterwards, we asked him what on earth he was playing at.
Well, Macca and Cookie are two of my best friends, so I thought, why not?
Thought you'd work for someone else for the final few hundred metres.
I was holding 70 k's an hour on that straight. Probably one of the fastest lead-outs ever had. So. With me and Macca, they don't come any faster. Me and Macca leading out, guys. So, yeah, it was good fun. I enjoyed it.
He's a legend. I'm loving these interviews. They looked like there was a bit of argy-bargy. Was Robbie getting pissed off that you now got assistance from guys like Millar?
I don't know if he clued on what was happening, or he had, but there's more to this story. So in the first intermediate that day, which came after some ridiculous. It was really, really early. It was something like 9Ks into the stage, which is just rude. So we basically got on the front at the start of the stage and started riding full gas. And we came into this little village, and I would always ride a bigger gear. I'd ride a 54 chainring, and I always would hit out early. And Robbie actually came up beside me as we went into the village, and he actually took the lead from me, and then I got the bigger gear going and came back past him and beat him for the intermediate sprint earlier in the stage. But they had some geriatric commissaire standing on the side of the road with a clipboard and no line camera, and he gave it to McEwen. And I swore black and blue that I won that sprint, and I've had it out with Robbie since then. But it's a fairly big difference if it's 5-3-1.
Mate, I've got vision of that. I have vision of that, Cookie. This is how well prepared I am for this show, mate. Let's have a look at that sprint you're talking about.
Baden Cooke confirmed today that he's made the transition from stage win seeker to serious challenger for the points title, and he was still looking for more points after the race was over.
There's a sprint after 10Ks, which I believe I won, and apparently they had no line camera because I had a big gear on, and Robbie got past me, and then I came back at him, and I believe I threw past him, and so I'm hoping that Mark's going to chase up some video footage of that, because it actually makes a 4-point difference if you look at it. So I was sort of stewing on that all day, and lucky I got the points here.
Well, I must say, I think Baden Cooke's got a case. He's on the right in this replay in the green, and he does seem to edge out Robbie McEwen. Unlikely, though, that the commissaires will reverse a decision made out on the road.
Edge out! You won by half a wheel.
Yeah, I most definitely won it, and because as soon as we went across that line, it went straight up a hill, and I was like sucking air through my, trying to suck any bit of air back into me. But I was on the radio saying, "Good job, that boys, we won it." And then it came through McEwen, Cook, blah blah blah, and I'm like, no, 100% I won it. And so I was furious, and then I was banging on about it all day in the radio, but I was expecting them to reverse it at some point. And then Millar said at the end of the stage, I'll jump in and give you a lead out, blah, blah, blah. And, once again, I beat him again for the second time in the day. But this point, the point difference at the finish was only a 1-point difference. It was a 2-point difference at the intermediate. So I actually lost points for the day. And I was not happy.
Anyone would think this was going to go right down to the last sprint of the last day or something.
Well, the thing was, the last sprint on the tour where if I had have lost that sprint, it would have changed my life. But in actual fact, I should have had a 4-point buffer, and I should have won regardless.
So why didn't they? They've got the vision. This is the stupid part. They had the vision. You clearly won it. Why couldn't they overturned it? Doesn't
I don't
make
know.
sense.
I went in hard. I was yelling and carrying on like a pork chop, getting them. I was saying, get some vision. I won it, and they said, no, but they've already decided on it. I said, well, get them to change it. Like I won it. And I knew that I wasn't just going to walk away with it. I knew that I had a battle on my hands, and I wanted every single point. And I was leading by something like 9 points at this stage.
Yeah.
So a 4-point difference is quite substantial.
So as we can detect, this green jersey battle it's getting fiery. So stage 11, here's the sprint, and unfortunately Robbie, he's fired up as well.
Baden Cooke, he wants the 9th place finish for the big points, shoulder to shoulder with McEwen. These two riders, and McEwen got it this time. Revenge is sweet for Robbie McEwen. He pips him on the line.
So what were you thinking when Robbie is starting to come back? He's, what was said after the finish? Was there any trash talking?
Oh, not really. I felt like, it was, again, that stage, there was a breakaway. So we're only sprinting for 1 point. So, the day before's daylight robbery, where we got that victory in the intermediate, was worth a lot more than those two was worth more than those 2 finishes. So where you're doing full lead outs for those. But I don't know, we're trash talking because, I mean, Nick Gates, who's also a great friend of ours, was Robbie's sort of lead out man, lieutenant. So we're all kind of mates, but we're all trying to absolutely kill each other to win this grand jersey. And they sort of joke around during the stage, sort of take the piss out of each other, or mainly me taking the piss out of Robbie. But then we'd go into battle at the end, and there was no love lost. There was no ifs or buts. We were fighting to the death for that jersey.
So here's the sprint on. So you've got the mountains. It's all pretty tight, as you said. There's only sort of 9. Oh, well, there's less than 9 points in it now. But here's the points after stage 17.
He's sitting on the wheel now of Baden Cooke. Now, Brad McGee gives the final lead out. Then it is going to be Cookie. Cookie goes. He's taking with him McEwen and Zabel, the top 3 sprinters of the race. Now, who can get up? And again, McEwen is showing he is very, very fast. Robbie McEwen on the line gets it, and he'll get it off Cooke and Zabel.
Well, the photo actually made it Zabel and Cooke, which was better news for McEwen because he picked up 2 points on the competition leader instead of 1. And by the way, the entire peloton, including all the big names, finished together on the same time. So Cooke still leads the points competition, but McEwen is only 6 behind him now, with Zabel another 6 behind McEwen.
So it's getting bloody tight. It's getting down to the wire.
A lot of breakaways winning on these front days.
Yeah.
I
noticed that.
back then.
There was.
What were you doing, Wilson? Wilson, what were you doing? You should be pulling those brakes back, mate. What were you doing, Wilson? You should be pulling those brakes back, mate.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal was back then, but teams just didn't really talk to each other or help each other, and you just let these brakes go to 20 minutes and go, oh shit, we should probably bring that back, and by then it's too late. Nowadays, every sprint team just get together when the brakes are 2 minutes, and they don't give them a chance in hell, So it's very different.
Yeah. Well, it's coming down to the wire, and this is the sprint for the jersey points on stage 18.
Bradley McGee is looking to help, but nobody's there to lead out. Here comes Zabel on the right now, taking on. Through on the inside, Tor Hushovd is going for it. Very difficult finish for him, but Eric Zabel, the strong man, and McEwen is on the line. He pulls the green jersey on tonight.
And he'll have it by 2 clear points because Eric Zabel edged out Baden Cooke for 3rd place, as you can see in the photo. So the defending points champion, Robbie McEwen, retakes the green jersey 2 days before Paris. And he can't lose it before Paris because tomorrow's the time trial. However, with 35 points on offer for the stage win on the Champs-Élysées, Baden Cooke or Eric Zabel could still take it from him there.
How much are you thinking about Pataki that shouldn't have robbed you the points and the intermediate sprint that you should have got? Is that still playing on your mind at this point, Cookie? He's still thinking about it. But
yeah, I was filthy, and I was still to this day. I mean, people don't really understand. I took the green jersey home, but there's those times when I just go, well, it shouldn't have been so close. And Robbie wrote a book about it, and there was a whole chapter on it, him bitching and moaning about taking his green jersey in 2003. However, and he says, he had bad luck falling off one day. Well, I mean, the day before, I got taken out, didn't fall off, but I, rode the last 200 metres with 1 foot in. So it wasn't all like a fairy tale for me. There was a lot that went into it. But, I mean, in 3 weeks of racing, 3,500 kilometres, you've basically got to count on 1 or 2 crashes, and you've got to count on not everything going to plan.
Well, there is some good news because the time trial the next day, guess who won it? The superstar, David Millar. And this is David Millar post stage.
I'm in the clouds. I'm not walking there, I'm floating.
He was up and about, and then it gets better. This is Millar on the podium.
Well, he's had a miserable last 10 days or so, David Millar, but he was back at the Tour's top table tonight. Congratulations from the race leader, the race organiser, Jean-Marie Leblanc, and then onto the podium to make sure his underwear sponsors got their airtime. Having softened him up with Matt, we sent Ned in for a second go.
So we need to know how fast you can go when your chain doesn't fall off and when you don't come off your bike, because that today was the second fastest time trial in Tour history.
Yeah, I know. And it was raining and wet, and we had lots of corners.
Otherwise, it was okay.
I never get sick of watching all that. So, Cookie, coming into Paris, you obviously you're still fired up today. So you must have been super fired up the morning of. Are you just thinking, what were the tactics? And obviously the emotions, you're pretty G'd.
Well, before that, I had to get through the time trial, and I was having a problem at that time where every time I rode a time trial bike for more than a few kilometres, my left leg would sort of pinch a nerve and go numb down the back, and it would sort of affect me the next day. So I rode that 50-kilometre time trial on a road bike. Might not sound like a big deal, but if you've ever done a 50-kilometre time trial, it's a lot less aero riding the road bike. But I opted to do that, but I had to push pretty hard to stay within the time limit. And then, we're coming into Paris. All this work had gone into, getting to that point. It was looking like McEwen was gaining a bit of. It seemed like McEwen was getting stronger, and I'd overheard. Reports in the media where they're saying, the defending champion's finally getting his legs back, and the young upstart is sort of being put back in his place. That sort of speech, and so I did what anyone else would do, and we finished that time trial, and Brad McGee and I had, and I don't know if Matty was there, but Brad and I definitely had about 8 pints. Yeah, so that sort of just relaxed us and did a bit of carbo loading for the Champs-Elysees.
Well, here's
hang on, I've got to tell my little story of that last day. I'll clean it up and make it as good as I can, Cookie. But there's a little VIP village where we all hang out. A lot of the riders, they all used to come in for a coffee and that back in those days. Anyway. Everyone's in there having a coffee. There's a few of the Aussies sitting around here together around a table having a coffee or whatever. And gradually they've all filled it out because the race is about to start. And it's just Cookie and I sitting there. And he wanted to have a yap, and I thought, he wants to talk about this battle he's going to have. Because, remember, Robbie McEwen's in the green jersey. He's got to take it off him. So, me being an old road sprinter, I'm thinking Cookie wants to talk to me about that. He says, no, but he was more interested in talking about a couple of the podium chicks that he had his eye on. And if he could get that green jersey, it'd bode well for him that night. So, he got the green jersey, but I don't think he ended up getting the chick, Cookie.
Chicks. We did. No, because the two podium girls have been the same all the way through, and I'd grown quite fond of them, and I thought if I'm ever going to have a chance with these pretty girls, it'll be probably now that I've got the green jerseys. So I had a chat to them after the stage, and they weren't interested at all. quite a knock to my confidence at the time. Well, actually, in my defence, the Tour de France had just implemented a new rule that the podium girls couldn't frolic with the riders anymore. So I'm just putting it down to that.
Like COVID.
Yeah, that's right. Well, let's have a look at the first intermediate sprint. So as you saw, Robbie's got a 2-point lead, and there was there's 3 sprints on the final day, which
2 intermediates and final. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's have a look at the first one.
Well, it looks as though Cooke might take this and level the chucker, because I don't think he's got it. Robbie McEwen hasn't. So Baden Cooke first, Robbie McEwen second. We are now equal on points. If the race were to end at this moment, Baden Cooke would win because he's the only one to have won a stage of the race.
And don't forget, just coming across line in the third place position there as well was Eric Zabel. Well, this has been one of the closest battles in recent years. Cookie seems to have recovered for this last day on the Champs-Elysees. The excitement will be in his legs. That is a very hard sprint at the top end of the Champs-Elysees. People think that this is a flat avenue. It certainly is not, and Cookie got that one right this time.
What was the chatter in the bunch? Because this hadn't happened before. Like, you know, there's all this battle going on for these intermediates. Like, and then when you're going back to the bunch, normally they're obviously thinking about just the final sprint. But could people feel the tension that was building?
Yeah, well, as per tradition, US Postal, who had the yellow jersey with Lance, led onto the Champs. It's usually quite a traditional. It was just tradition that the team leading the race leads the peloton onto the Champs-Élysées. However, we had an intermediate sprint a couple of kilometres later, so we sort of came flying up, and we had all hands on deck for the sprint, and had a full blown sprint train. And I just had to go past Lance and these guys who were sort of just taking it all in and enjoying the victory, and had to just rip it up to 60 kilometres an hour up the Champs, which of course they understood, but I'm sure they would have liked to just sort of cruise around for a few more laps. But that first sprint was quite interesting because we wanted to, obviously Robbie always had more acceleration than me, but I was sort of at my best when the pace was at maximum speed for as long as it could be. So we decided to take that sprint on early and really wind it up as hard as we could. And as I was as Brad was, as I think Carlos de Cruz was in front of me, and Brad swung off with two people to go, and he sort of came drifting back, but he kept the power on. And as obviously on the Champs-Élysées, it's pave, and I went down the gutter side where it's a little bit smoother, and I saw Robbie was just going to come through the gap with me underneath my rider. I just clutched for a millisecond just to frighten him, to make him think that we're going to try and box him in, which we weren't. So I just clutched, but he was being so cat-like and so agile on the bike. He's sort of seen what was potentially going to happen, which wasn't going to happen, but we tricked him. I sort of did a bluff. I sort of stopped pedaling for a millisecond to bluff him into thinking we're going to box him in, but then I just went, and that sort of was enough for him to deviate out of the danger, but he lost a bit of speed, and I got him on that one.
Well, here's the second intermediate sprint.
Mirror approach the line, which we looked at last time they come. Here comes the launch by Bradley McGee. Cookie is waiting as long as possible. This time, McEwen has gone earlier, and he is a much faster finisher than Baden Cooke. And this time, Robbie McEwen is going to say, now this is how you win a sprint. And when he does it, Paul, it's too easy.
As they say in French, excusez-moi, papa, but that was unbelievable. He accelerated. You see, they were very clever here. They were trying to force McEwen to go up through the inside, then they would block him in. He said, no thanks, guys, I'm going straight down the middle of the Champs-Élysées. He's got the kick, he's got the acceleration, and he's got the guts of a true champion. He wanted this win, and Baden Cooke just bows his head down in submission. And I think probably Eric Zabel got third.
Well, now the score will be 188 in favour of McEwen and 186 to Cooke.
Were you still...
I bet you he's wishing he didn't win that sprint by 5 lengths.
Thinking that.
Maybe saves a bit more energy for the bit.
At this point, are you still thinking, I should be in front? They've still robbed me of those bloody points.
Yes, I was.
Really?
I still am. That's the first thing I'm thinking. I should have been in front still.
So, Iffy, what was the mood like in the media centre when all this is going on?
Oh, look, it was amazing, really, because remembering it actually had happened once before, and it happened to Stuart O'Grady. Stuart O'Grady had the green jersey on onto the Champs, and Zabel took it off him about 3 years before in that last stage. So I thought, Stewie's a mate of mine, and so Cookie's a mate of mine, and I really wanted him to win it. And I'm thinking, geez, I don't know if he can beat him in this last one. I knew it was going to be a great finish. And I remember going back to that sprint where you guys, about 4 or 5 stages earlier, when you got the line, and then as you just beat, the one you just beat Robbie in, but he gave you a headbutt right as you hit the line. And I thought, this is going to get interesting. And it certainly did on the last one.
How old were you at this 2003 Bulls?
2003.
I wasn't born.
How many years ago was that?
I don't know, 17.
17 years ago.
17 years ago. 33 minus 17. Someone tell us that.
17. 16, 17. 17.
Just turn into a busted maths show.
18. You're 18. There you go.
I remember though. I remember getting up. I remember watching these tours. That was obviously when you're 16 years old and you're a bike rider. Those are the tours that you remember. Tours that you get up at 3 a.m. or whatever it is and watch them. And then so I remember all these stages. I've been enjoying my contribution to the show so far, which has been just sitting here and watching these videos and listening to Cookie.
Well, let's not delay. Here's the pinnacle moment, the final sprint to decide the green jersey of 2003.
Hushot is leading through. Hushot is going. Here comes Cookie with his gritting of his teeth. And McEwen is going with him. And McEwen is coming on the right. McEwen is going to get win number 3. Beaten on the line. Jean-Patrick Nazon. Jean-Patrick Nazon gets it. But I think, Paul, it will go to McEwen because he was right on the side of Cook. And I think there'll be nothing in it. It's on countback.
It is going to be on the countback. The difference between second and third is 4 points at this level, but that man Patrick Nazon came right up through the middle, and I have to tell you that we have to count back to see just exactly what position. Let's have a look from the top here. This is Nazon here who's charging up to the line. Thor Hushovd is leading the sprint out. There you've got Baden Cooke coming around the outside, then all of a sudden it's Robbie McEwen. And look at this charge for the line here, right up through the middle. The pink jersey is Jean-Patrick Nazon. And Phil, it's photo. We have to look at it from the side. It's going to go between Baden Cooke and Robbie McEwen. If Baden Cooke is second, Robbie McEwen's third, then the result of the king of the sprints is going to go to Baden Cooke.
Well, when the race jury had studied the photo, they did eventually give second place to Baden Cooke, which gave him first place in the points competition and this year's green jersey.
Unbelievable. Now, you know what's even more unbelievable is David Millar has joined us, and so has Matt Wilson. Dave, we've just been reliving the 2003 Tour de France and the battle for the jersey, and we saw some cracking interviews with your good self, particularly when you were obviously gutted with that opening time trial, mate.
Was I a petulant child?
No, you're pretty reserved, except you did let slip that it wasn't a Campanolo chain ring, and that you said someone will get in shit for that.
Yeah, well, they did.
I got to tell you, Dave, there was about 4 interviews with you after different stages, but the best one was the one where you decided just to join in the lead out because you thought it'd be fun. It was absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, I think I was having quite good fun for some of that race. Yeah, God.
I was actually when if you told me before that you might be coming on, Dave, I said, "Oh, that's actually really relevant." I said there was a stage into Marseille. I said, "Look it up." I said, we're just coming into the finish this day, and Dave's chatting to us. We're just sort of a bit of banter out on the road, and he's going, "Oh, it looks like fun. You know, that lead out you do looks like fun. Do you reckon I could jump in?" And we're like, "Hell yeah, jump in." I remember whispering for 10, and I've got Millar, McGee, and I'm just looking at my speedo, and it's just going 60, 65, 70, and I'm putting my head lower and lower and lower and lower, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to get ridden off the wheel here. They're going that fast, so I'm just thinking to myself, imagine how hard it is behind, but further behind. Like imagine trying to pass. So I remember just being on the absolute rivet for the last K, and all I could do was just basically stand up. I don't think I went any faster. I just think I continued their speed.
That's why I didn't do the US, I think. I was useless. I'd always go too fast and bail out just when it was the wrong time. Christ. I can't even remember that.
Well, Dave was...
I can. I was sitting third wheel thinking, holy crap, I might get ridden off the wheel here. I was going to go that far.
Dave, Cookie was robbed of some intermediate sprint points halfway through the tour, and he couldn't get over. In fact, he's not over it today. How were you mentally knowing what happened with that time trial and the mechanical you had? Was that just playing on your mind constantly throughout the race?
Yeah. I mean, the loss of it wasn't. I had lots of underlying problems with the team, so I just used it. The first week of that tour, I was pretty negative to the point where I made myself sick. So I wasn't sleeping. I was so stressed. And I spent the middle week with bronchitis and then came out of it again. But I don't really have such fond memories of that tour. And then the last day was the penultimate day. I won the time trial. And then even that day, I didn't believe it because I was so far down. I just went and sat in a beer tent all afternoon. And so I was drunk as a monkey when I got on the podium. And it was just, so I just wanted the race over with.
That explains the track pants.
Yeah, no, yeah. I've been on my own with fans, just drinking, waiting for 2 hours. It was
well. Now that we know that, let's just run the clip again. Let's refresh your memory.
He's had a miserable last 10 days or so, David Millar, but he was back at the Tour's top table tonight. Congratulations from the race leader, the race organiser, Jean-Marie Leblanc, and then onto the podium to make sure his underwear sponsors got their airtime. Having softened him up with Matt, we sent Ned in for a second go.
So we need to know how fast you can go when your chain doesn't fall off and when you don't come off your bike, because that today was the second fastest time trial in Tour history.
Yeah, I know. And it was raining and wet, and we had lots of corners.
How many beers down did you say you were?
4 or 5, I think. Yeah.
So Cookie, what was it like when you come to the realization you'd won the green jersey, mate?
I mean, my family had come over for that tour, but by this point we're already back home, and they were having a sort of a Champs-Élysées party back in Benalla, where I grew up. So I mean, I just sort of couldn't believe it, even though, since the year before, when I was 4th in the green jersey, I was telling everyone I was going to win it, and the whole race I was acting like it was mine. But I still couldn't really believe it when I actually stood up there on that podium and pulled it on for the final time. The first thing I did was call my family back home and was just beside myself. And basically, there's been my life up until that day and my life since, and it was a life-changing moment for sure.
Well, we've got vision of the podium and what you're like with the ITV guys.
Meaningless, of course, in the grand scheme of things. Unlike Baden Cooke's second place, this was only his second Tour de France, and he was seen as very much the junior entrant in the points competition. But with the help of his team, he's taken it off Robbie McEwen. It should be a great battle again between the pair of them next year. Here he is with Ned.
You didn't expect that, did you, perhaps?
Oh, I thought it was going to be close, but I thought, Robbie's been so good over the last 3 days. He's beaten me most times we've lined up, and I just was going to go out there with no pressure today. The team told me they didn't care if I won or lost. They said I've already had a good tour. I could see Robbie was stressed. Lotto hadn't had a win, and I think it played into my hands that I just took it easy.
Unbelievable, sensational. Reliving all those old memories. Now, we have to quickly ask you guys about this year's Tour de France, obviously. Dave, what are your thoughts about the stage last night?
It's strange because as a commentator, I was a little bit underwhelmed simply because they were so strong. And Wout van Aert's just bending my mind at the moment. It's just, and I thought that was probably one of the things that destroyed everybody because he did 8 Ks at the bottom of Grand Colombier, and he weighs like 76, 77 kilos. Then Egan Bernal's getting dropped. There are only 20 riders left when Wout was still on the front. And I think they just destroyed everybody. I much preferred the day before. I thought the day before was amazing. I thought Sunweb, the way that they were racing, and Hirschi. And I guess the thing I'm loving most is all these young riders. Hirschi, Pogacar, Wout van Aert. They're just kind of, we're finally getting that huge shift in generations. And they're just ripping up the rule book. It's kind of before when Maddie, Baden, and I were young, we were kind of told we couldn't get good until we were 25, 26. And you kind of buy into that. Whereas now you can be 20, 21 and you don't have to kind of have that negative outlook, if you like, or that kind of inbuilt holding back. And I think that's going to change the whole sport, which is exciting.
And Wilson, a lot of people, they don't trust what you guys said at the start that you're not going for GC. They all thought that it was a bit of a plan because obviously Adam Yates is going really good. You hear us, Matty?
Sorry, who's this question to? I've got internet problems.
You're right. I was just saying, a lot of people are saying, are you guys, were you planning to ride GC all along, given how good Adam Yates is going at the moment? No good? Oh, what do you reckon, Cookie?
No, not at all, mate. It's turned out the way it's turned out. And
the delay.
Yeah, look, no, it was never a plan. We're 100% going for stages. But, Adam's just gotten better and better. And yesterday you saw how good he was going. Well, you can't throw away a GC position like this. He's got a genuine chance at the podium now. So, yeah, I'm doing GC now.
Who are you tipping, Cookie? Who do you reckon's going to win the overall?
Oh, I think, Roglic's, he's such a talented rider. He's been going so good for so long. Those guys are really, really showing their dominance. But I think it'll be, I think there's a few guys in there that like Pogacar is a fantastic talent for the future. But I think he's going to have to wait a bit longer.
What do you reckon, Bills?
I reckon Pogacar is going to nab another 25 seconds somewhere between now and the TT from Roglic through time bonuses, maybe at some finishes, maybe just expose him a little bit on one day. So I reckon Roglic will be leading going into the TT by a smaller margin than he is leading by now, and then she'll be all to play for in the TT.
Yep. Well, it's going to be on for young and old, that's for sure. We really appreciate you guys coming on and joining the show. It was great reliving some of the old memories. You got anything to add before we let the guys go, Iffy?
Well, I think there's two things that we're quickly like to talk about because we've got the green jersey man here. I want to hear what Cookie thinks is going to happen in this last week for the green jersey because, I mean, it's really going to be down. Those intermediate sprints are going to be so important and where they're placed in the stage each day.
Oh, I mean, I certainly wouldn't want Peter Sagan breathing down my neck with a week in the mountains to come. That's just it's very, very hard. He can climb when he really wants to. He can climb with the best 30 guys, and that makes it very hard if there's a climb at the start of the stage and then these intermediate sprints at the end. And then on a lumpy day, if he happens to get up the road, which he's very capable of, and then actually scoring points at the end of the stage as well. He can close a big gap very quickly. I still think Sagan can win.
Yeah, I think there's only stage 19 that he could get points at the end. The other three stages are monsters. But I think all the sprinters, other than Sagan, are going to have trouble on stages 16 and 18. And they're going to have trouble making the time cut. They're going to have trouble making the time cut, I reckon.
Yeah, well, there's that as well. You've got to get there. We saw in the past few years with Kittel and there's riders that was getting right to the finish and then not being able to make it. So there are anything can happen, and generally speaking, Sagan just gains momentum at the end. He knows he can do it. He's got a deep confidence in himself. And I wouldn't like to be betting against him.
Dave, how are they holding up in the Ineos camp? Obviously, it was a pretty disappointing day yesterday, and there's a lot of talk about, they should have bloody picked Geraint Thomas, given how good he's going at Torino.
Yeah, I don't think they should have picked Geraint because he's likely going to go and win the Giro and save their year. I think they just came in overcooked. I mean, the one thing you can count on with Ineos is they're going to go away from this and learn. and come back all guns blazing. And it's a migration for that team. I mean, more than a transition, it's a migration from one group of riders to another. It's moving from being very, very British centric to international and kind of looking towards the next 10 years. So I think probably the best thing is Jumbo-Visma challenging them. I mean, they're outdoing them with all marginal gains. And I think it happens to every great sporting kind of legacy. They have this period. I mean, I referenced recently The Last Dance, the Michael Jordan Netflix thing, where it talks about that kind of team and the kind of how hard it is. Even when they're at their best, you have to at some point shut them down. And I think that's what's happened with Froome and G. They're kind of just having to make the hard decisions to prepare for the fact that they are about to hit the descending spiral. So I think next year they'll still be transitioning, migrating, and then 2022 they're going to come back just dominating again, probably.
Well, Bills, you were asking Rowie about that on your social distance podcast chat about how hard it is to stay at the top.
Yeah, that's right. And he said, what he said was, when you win the Tour de France for so many years in a row, you can basically only fail, because if they go there and win, everyone's like, oh, well, that was expected. They've been doing that for the last 6 or 7 years anyway. But if you lose, then all of a sudden, now it's this huge, well, it has not quite yet a huge news story, but certainly getting to the point where people are going, oh, yeah, the rain's over, and that conversation's definitely going to happen. Yeah, but like Dave says, it's great. It's actually great for the sport to have a couple of, not just to have that one team dominating the Tour de France now. And it's an awesome tour. Like, obviously, Roglic is looking certainly the strongest at the moment. Pogacar's nipping away at the heels there if he hadn't lost that time in the crosswinds. And then the race for the third spot on the podium is going to make for an awesome last week. I mean, you got Yatesy, you got Uran, you got Lopez, you got all these guys, Richie, fighting for third place. So it's going to be a bloody great last week.
Yeah, I think I think there's 6 people within 35 seconds or something for that third place. And that is going to be a wonderful battle. And Richie, I think, looks the strongest of them.
Yep. Well, we'll have to wait and see. All right. Well, Wilson's already checked out. His internet's so good. Really appreciate you coming on, Dave, and all the best with the commentary on the last week. And thanks, Cookie. There were some bloody great stories, mate. And as you said, the green jersey, it changed your life. So you should look back with some pretty fond memories, even though you should have won by more points, mate. You're a bloody Rob.
Great talking to you guys. Thanks for having me on.
Later. Got you, boys.
Thanks, fellas.
Yeah.
See you, mate. Oh, how good was that? Reliving all the old memories.
There's some great footage there, eh?
Oh, yeah, it's awesome.
Oh, we're still live. Sorry.
We're still live. Yeah, Bob.
Bills, when the social distance today? People are just tuning in for your other podcast. Now
we recorded prior to this Detour podcast episode. So Jonesy will work his magic after this, and then we'll chuck it up online in a couple of hours' time.
Now, John, before we go, you know what you have to do.
Well, there's 2 things we've got to do. First, we've got to thank the sponsors, and I'll do that right now. Lexus of Blackburn, our great partner in cycling. So when the lockdown's unlocked, get out there, get your new Lexus. Great, the sponsors of the Bay Classic and the Women's Herald Sun Tour, wonderful partners. And also, of course, Mitchelton Hotel. I'm going up there very soon. I'm actually got my wife booked in there for her 70th, which is today. Lovely Kay.
Yeah, I gave away the surprise present yesterday, I think.
No, she doesn't listen to the show, so you don't have to worry about that. But we're booked in for a long weekend, and she's going to be pampered with spas and massage and all of that, so that's going to be fantastic. But it's just such a beautiful spot on the beautiful Goulburn River at Nagambie. And, of course, Let's Go Motorhomes, wonderful sponsors. And you can book your special that they're going at the moment, the early bird special, 90 days in advance. You get 5% discount. And also, for the best question this week, we'll have to have a selection very soon. Whose arm is that sticking underneath there? What are you doing, Sam?
Adjusted his spot.
My laptop.
So, Best question for the week gets a week's hire of a Let's Go motorhome and also a box of beautiful Mitchelton Shiraz. So there's two prizes. We'll split them up. We better do that tomorrow, mate, because we're going to also offer another one for the last
yes
part. So you and I will have to select that tomorrow.
And Sam, he's part of the panel now. Here's a quick word from our mates at Bike Exchange.
We are the world's #1 bike marketplace with over 900 brands, where buyers and sellers are brought together in a place where a bike is never just a bike. Bike Exchange, where the world buys, sells, learns, and rides.
All right. That's a pretty jam-packed episode. But
I haven't seen my DeLorean. I love that little DeLorean clip, and we DeLorean piece. It was all a DeLorean piece.
The whole show was a DeLorean.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, it's great footage there. I enjoyed watching those videos.
He's a good storyteller, Cookie. Like that's
Great
one
storyteller.
thing he was like. If you were flat, you could just go to the back of the bus and wind Cookie up and ask him to spin a few yarns, and he'd entertain you for hours. Like he's always been like that.
When he was the first couple of years on Greenwich, when he was on the team, we'd spend hours at the dinner table listening to Cookie's stories.
Oh yeah. Was there anything? What was the key things that popped out from those inside spills for you as a current day rider?
From the videos today. Well, the number one thing for me was the fact that the sprinters didn't win many stages then. Like, I mean, it's very rare that someone wins the green jersey. Okay, Cookie won a stage and Cookie won the green jersey, but like we saw there was, Robbie could have quite easily have won it on that last day as well, and he didn't win a stage of the tour. So it's very rare that you see a green jersey winner not win one or multiple stages at the Tour de France. I mean, I couldn't believe the fact that they were rolling in these massive bunch sprints, and I was watching the footage that you were showing, and this huge lead out and big field sprint, and then they cross the line and no one salute. And I'd be like, why aren't they saluting? Oh, someone 21 minutes up the road or someone 8 minutes up the road. I mean, it doesn't happen these days. If it's a sprint stage, it's a sprint. Breakaway's got no chance.
Yeah. And what popped out with me is just how dirty Cookie was with those incidents. Like, obviously it would cook you, but like how even to this day he's still filthy that, because you saw the replay, like with that intermediate, like he clearly won it. But the fact that it had to come down to the wire, like it's pissed him off. I like it.
Love that he's still herding on it. 17 years later.
Yeah, they showed the great overhead of that clash between Robbie and Cookie, but the actual front-on photo was a bloody ripper. It was right on the line, their heads together, and there really only was, a couple of tyre widths. It was really close, but fantastic finish.
It's such an iconic photo, isn't it, Iffy, that one?
Yeah, it is a ripper. Yeah.
All right, well, that pretty much wraps a jam-packed show. As always, now we have to ask people if you want to get amongst it in terms of getting notifications and so forth, subscribe to the YouTube channel and turn on notifications and leave comments and likes and shares and stuff, and that will actually help spread the word of the show, and it'll come up more often in search results and things like that. So if you can do that, we'd really appreciate it, and then you won't miss an episode moving forward. Anything you want to leave the viewers with, Iffy, before we go?
No, I did get a message from Cookie from Bradley saying that when he feels a little bit better, he's going to come on and have a chat with us before the tour's over.
Yeah, perfect. And potential guests this week, we're going to chat with Brian Nygaard. He's going to dial in from California, and we're on the hunt for some pretty big names. We could have some belters by the end of the week. One of the best bike riders in the history of the sport we're working on. So just got to stay tuned. But anyway, thanks for joining us, Bulls. Thanks, Iffy. We'll see you all again tomorrow, 7:30 Australian Eastern Standard Time for the Detour Live. See you then.
Night all.